But the advantages here, we'll go ahead and we'll lift it up. As it goes up, you'll hear a clicking sound. The clicking sound is a safety device. Right there you hear a clicking. That clicking is the safety. Every 2 inches this thing has a click. And it stops it. If this thing loses oil pressure or blows a hose, every 2 inches this thing will stop. So you can't get hurt. It always sits on the stops. When this thing is down on the ground, these machines are so close to the ground that trying to get under them is very difficult. And so in order to make it easier for people to get underneath it, we'll lift this machine up. I'm going to lift it up a little higher here. With this thing on a lift like this, if I wanted to adjust my cutting units, instead of having to crawl around on the floor, I can use a little scooter. I can sit down on it, come up to a cutting unit like this, take my piece of paper, stick my piece of paper in here, and check to see what kind of quality of cut that I have with my reel. If my reel to bed knife is off, like this one here, it's open too much, I can take my wrench, reach around the back, I can adjust it and keep checking it. When I'm done, I simply roll over to the next one and I can check it. When I'm done with these, I can just roll right back underneath here and I can set the rear ones just as easy. I don't have to lay down on the floor, crawl up underneath there and tuck underneath it. The other thing that I can do is while I'm here checking it, I can simply look up and I can look for problems with this machine. Do I have any hoses that are rubbing together that could rupture? When this machine is on the ground, you simply cannot see any potential problems that are in here. When I worked at the dealership, the Gulf dealer for the John Deere dealer, they found that when they finally got their first lift, they cut their warranty problems by 40%. The reason they cut it by 40% was when they got the brand new machines and they picked them up in the air and they started to look at hoses from the factory that were set too close, pipes, they were able to stop ruptures and problems like that before it actually got to the customer. It does two things for the customer. One, it doesn't fail out on a green or on a fairway, which is a very expensive thing. It cut down on their warranty problems, so they had less times running out repairing it, and the satisfaction of the customer was greatly increased. And so, big difference just having a lift, and 40% is pretty substantial. So with this, I can come under here and look for hoses, I can look for bushings, I can look for any kind of potential problem. This particular machine has leaks. There's oil leaks, so I can climb under here, I can clean it off, I can inspect to see where exactly is the oil coming from. Laying down on your back and crawling under here would be very difficult. And so there's a big advantage to being able to climb underneath this machine and lifting it up out of the way. This thing on the top, if you look up on the very top of the machine, it has an overhead bar, which kind of limits how tall the piece of equipment is that we can put under there. But you'll see it says a maximum of 1,000 pounds. I can attach a crane or an overhead hoist onto that bar that's on there, and I can actually use this as an overhead crane. I could bring the machine in, and instead of putting it on the forks, just back it underneath the machine. I can attach a crane to the engine. I could lift the engine out of this machine. I could take a table and roll a table there, hook it to it, lift it up, and actually use it as an overhead crane. It's not something that we do very often, but we have done that on occasion since we don't have an overhead crane in our shop. And it saves my back, and I'm not hurting my back trying to pick up something off the floor that's pretty heavy.